it was great. It was a great Super Six. So we couldn't have been wrong because there's so many good players in the state, and you know, we could have selected 5 north-south guys. We could have selected 2 or 1, and we went with 3, and that's kind of where it ended up. But it's a great group, and it's going to be a great year of high school football around the state, especially from an individual perspective. There's just some great individual players in the state.
I agree. The collection of individual talent may be greater than the whole parts. I really agree with that. One of the guys that I think kind of flies under the radar because he said yes easy and it was pretty no fuss, but he was a tremendous tester, and boy, his film does not lie. It was good to see Reynolds get recognized, not just because of a Nebraska commit, but I think he's pretty good. And I'm not saying he's not the best on his team because he's really, really good, but they got a handful of guys over there at Elk North that are pretty interesting. So much so, Sam, I looked at their schedule just for laughs and giggles because I kind of feel like they're an afterthought a little bit relative to their talent. They do have a 4-game stretch that's pretty nasty at the end of the year where they get Bennington and Scud and Waverly and Gretna East. So I'm like, it'll sort itself out. But it is good to see him get his love because he tested really, really well too. Not just a good player, but he had the physical numbers to back it up.
Yeah, it was very, very close between him and his teammate Barry, who's also a linebacker.
Fries?
And then,
good player, man.
Very good player.
Good player.
Then, I think that was a very close one, and I wrote that. But then there's also, it's just, it was a challenging process because you're talking about so many good players. A lot of them are versatile, and they can do a bunch of different things. We try to look at guys that get high major offers when we can. Of course, I think 12 of them have committed to high major schools. And so, I think that's something to keep in mind. Purify's son I think he's going to Fresno State, but he's got a lot of ability.
He's really good, man.
Yeah, he is. And so I think probably the first pick on that thing was probably Jet. Obviously, he's earned that, and he's had a great junior season. And of course, he's going to Alabama, and that's no joke. And I think Amarian was a pretty straightforward selection as well. He's put it together over the course of time, and then from there,
good on him. Good on him on not being bored, man. It seems like he gets a lot of accolades since he came out of the womb. I'm glad he can appreciate all of them because I think he's a guy we actually take for granted because he's been so good for so long.
I feel like we kind of forget about him.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. He's on a great team, which I think sometimes can shape the way people view an individual player, certainly I think that had something to do with Jet's recruitment for a while. But yeah, Marion's pretty easy pick. And then, from there, I think, again, there's no hard picks because everybody's really good, but it's just challenging to figure it out. We could have expanded it, but we feel like it still works as a 6.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's special, man. Don't you invite more people to the party. The dress code's got to be what it is.
You know what we did? We actually did one time, and the reason we did it, people may remember this, is Christian Lacouture moved.
Yeah, late.
So
North Star.
Yeah, and
I
so
remember.
we
Not North Star, Southwest.
Southwest, and we expanded it for 1 year because we're like, well, this guy probably belongs in the group, So, but we haven't done it other than that, and certainly we've considered it. And there's a lot of really good players in the state, and it's, who knows? By the end of this year, one of the guys that we didn't pick might emerge as the very best player. That's one of the fun things about it. Is that sometimes that'll happen. It's been we've had 20 Super Sixes, and probably next year we're going to do a 20th year anniversary team where we do maybe the 10 to 15 top Super Six players. And that'll be fun because it won't necessarily be people that everybody expects. You know
what's interesting about Amarian? While we're on the subject, and you'd know this because I think Caleb was only one of 6 3-time All Nebraska selections.
Right.
Amarion he's got a shot at 4, right? Which has never been done.
Yeah, he's pretty special.
think
I want to
people
say
have
that I'm
forgotten
I'm going to say this again out loud, and I only know this because 3 was rare company.
Yeah.
Right. I think you have 6 3-time All Nebraska selections. Amarion's got a shot at 4. That means all class, all the time,
Ever.
Yeah. He's a great player. And I do think sometimes people
4
forget that about him. And
that's all of them.
So there were people in this process.
You can only play
like,
4.
He's going to be on it. Yeah. I'm
so
like, yeah,
I want you to know
he's
that.
pretty good.
Just while
he's a really good player.
While I'm on it, I felt like we should kind of make that designation. AJ's pretty good.
Sam, I'm always curious about this whenever you make a list or something, obviously, the internet exists, so people do their internet thing. Do you get more pushback when it's a group like this? I know we haven't had a ton of groups like this where you've got so many guys.
You were part of one in 03.
So, yeah, with so many guys with Power 5 offers. Or do you get more where there's like, hey, we got 3 or 4 with like clear cut, these are the guys, and then maybe 5 through 10 are all kind of either fringe Division 1 or Division 2 guys? Like, which one of those do you get the most pushback on?
The latter. And some of that's because there are folks that are like, well, this kid is a high major kid, and he just didn't get that level of recognition. And why are you recognizing a kid over here who's good, but maybe isn't as good as this player over here, or hasn't been in high school as good? Why are you recognizing that kid and not recognizing this kid over here? Like, he only had this many catches.
Right,
so
right.
That happens sometimes.
You know what's funny, Sam? I felt like I didn't defend him, but Thursday and Friday was interesting with regards to Pittman, right? Because they hear 5-star, they see the offers, then you try to pit it against stats and like maybe sometimes watching film. And I found myself having to remind people that he was only a sophomore, right? Yeah. They're like, hey, no postseason awards, no this, however many tackles are put. I'm like, he's still got 2 more years to. Now I'm not totally skirting the fact that, you want to make more plays, obviously, always. Yeah, and there have been good sophomores to do it.
The stars don't match the stats yet.
But basically. I heard it with Christian, right? I get it if you're upset that the stars don't match the stats, but he still does have 2 more years.
Yeah, Pittman's he's really good. So I think what you look at. So one of the things that you look at with a guy like Pittman, is you do turn on the tape, and you see a player who plays with incredible physicality, almost at times abandoned. Like it just doesn't matter to him, and and I mean that in a good way. Like he hits and he plays fast and hard, and so he plays to his speed. The other thing that you see is when he's a receiver, and I think he's going to be a defensive back at the next level. But when he opens it up, it's not like any other player at all. Like it's a different gear. So what you're looking at is, okay, like how do you transition from starting to a break and then moving and doing all the things that you do when you're running a route. And so the scouting today is so much better than it was probably 25 years ago. When, there was a handful of people that were going out and doing it, and they might see a guy that played at a school over here and he, in Texas, and they've had good players before. And so this guy's a 5-star, and that doesn't really work like that anymore. It's much more detailed, and there's, Huddle provides so much more insight so that, the recruiting scouts and other people do understand for the most part what they're seeing. It's not a perfect science, of course not, but they understand what they're seeing. And so, I think most of the time those numbers as it relates to defensive backs and receivers and linebackers are pretty good. Quarterback is still a little bit of a crapshoot. Mm-hmm. There was a huge variability in thought process on Arch Manning. Actually, he was one. Where
I definitely remember that,
good.
right?
Yeah, and some people thought he was really good, and some people did not. And so certainly there was very little variability on Dylan Raiola by comparison. I mean, obviously Raiola had some people that questioned some of the things he was doing, but Arch Manning had legitimate critics, and that happens sometimes. But Pittman's going to be, he could end up the 30th player in the country in a high 4-star. He could end up 17th in a 5-star. The bottom line is he's a really, really good player. Any player who ends up at anybody's top 100 is really good. And the way that I measure recruiting rankings is I look at how many top 100, top 500, top 1,000, and then outside the 1,000 recruits that you get. And if you look at those numbers over however many years, Ohio State has something like 4 or 5 times what everyone else has in the Big Ten, with the exception now of Oregon. And so, like, if you want to know who's the most talented team, you just look at the top 100 recruits. And Ohio State has, I don't know, over the last 4 years, probably has 20. And Nebraska has 4. Like, and that gives you a sense of what the gap. And that's where Nebraska's got to continue to push. And in 2027, they have 2 top 100 recruits, which is a great stuff.